The world's never heard these stories. I'm just letting it rip today.
Did you ever do anything with Kanye?
Man, he used to be one of my musical heroes. Used to be. Turned out to be a fucking piece of shit. Lose it if I see this guy in public, man.
What was your relationship with Diddy?
You get invited into the house. Not many people get into the house.
Nobody was taking advantage of Bieber. Bieber knew what the fuck he was doing. He was trying to hang out. That's it. I'm cool with everybody, man. Like, I don't know, maybe not after this interview. I had the first Bugatti.
That's Kim K?
Yep. She made a song, by the way, called F You, Scott Storch. I can tell you that's a funny story.
Did you and DMX do anything or no?
And he's smoking crack while they're handcuffing him, like with the handcuffs on, getting his last hit in. It was like the blind leading the blind. Can you imagine, like, man, you really need to get your shit together. I'm laying some secrets out for y'all today, bro. This is all real talk.
What do you think about music these days?
This shit is whack. Shit is horrible right now, honestly. Like, good music has no expiration date.
Listen to that on repeat.
I made it stutter and go.
Guess who's back?
Scott Storch.
30 seconds. Did you ever think you would make it? I feel I'm so close I could taste sweet victory. I know this life meant for me.
Adam, what's your point? The future looks bright.
My handshake is better than anything I ever signed. Right here.
You are a one-on-one?
My son's right about
I don't think I've ever said this before.
Scott Storch in the house. How you doing?
I'm chilling. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. It's crazy. We were having dinner at, shout out to Martirano.
Oh, yeah,
right? Stevie. And we're over there, and I'm with some friends. You're with some friends. And I'm like, babe, is that, yeah, what how you doing? And we're talking outside. Mm-hmm. And then a few months later, Adam, you guys are talking. How'd you guys get linked up all of a sudden?
We have a couple mutual friends,
Okay,
MJ,
yeah.
Buddha, a couple guys. And then the night we were talking, I was telling him what I do, and Scott sometimes will play it cool. And at the end of the night, he goes, is this your guy right here? Shows a picture of you. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, oh, this guy we had, like, and then it's been off the races ever since.
Yeah. I remember this. But, so I know, you as producer, what you've done. But then Adam's like, do you really know? I'm like, I think I know. Pat, let me tell you what this guy's done. I'm like, what has he done? Then he keeps playing hits after. I'm like, there's no way he did this. And he did this. And he did that. And he did this. And I pulled it on. I'm like, okay, so
volume.
Here's volume of #1 hits. You did Beyonce Baby Boy, Fat Joe's Lean Back, 50 Cent Candy Shop. I mean, Candy Shop, right? Mario, Let Me Love You. Chris Brown, Run It. And you've worked pretty much with everybody and anybody.
You didn't even scratch the surface of some of my biggest records. Cry Me a River. I mean, there's so many.
Cry Me a River, Justin Timberlake.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many. Still Dre. I mean, countless. Honestly, I've done more music, I think, than any producer, period.
Oh, what did Fat Joe say? Fat Joe say Spotify has all your songs, 53 billion streams is what he said.
Yeah, it's more than that now. And it's the top, 1%. It's like there's only a few people up that high in terms of streams, and Drake is one of them. I'm one of them, and it's an honor, man. I'm passionate about what I do. I didn't do it for the money. I did it for the love and the passion. And then if you have passion for something, you're gonna excel at it.
But the stories, man. I mean, the stories goes with the parties, the ladies, the names. The best of the best at the peak. It goes on and on and on. So
a lot of that stuff was post work. You know what I mean? Like I was work, and then all of a sudden. But we'll get to that later.
How did it get started for you? How did it get when like at the beginning? Did you, since you were a kid, for an artist comes in here, say you're an architect, you're like, I don't know if I would have cut the doors this way and I would have cut it this way. Do you go to a place and if somebody goes, and then you're like, dun, 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 do you automatically link every sound to creating a beat? Is that how your brain is wired?
No, I'm receiving satellite. I swear to God. Like, you ever drive somewhere and you black out and you're like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
That's how it happens for me. And it's like, oh shit, that's it. Throwing shit against the wall.
Would you mind if we just start off with you doing a couple of the beats?
Sure.
For the audience to know. If you wanna invite in, I want the audience to kind
My
of
friend
hear.
Jalen is here. This
Yeah,
is,
if we can get Jalen, our handsome son,
right.
Jalen, the guy could be a model, good-looking boy. Is he here with us?
You know what? I can say something about all my children. Sperm one. I really did.
All right, Jalen. So if you can help set them up.
there you go.
One by one by one, I want to see. By the way, when you're listening to this, folks, the moment he does it, you're going to be like, no
Oh yeah.
flipping way.
We can start with.
You want to help him put that mic in front of him, Rob, so we can catch him there as well? Whatever you want to
piano?
start off with.
What the hell is that? The polarity is wrong on this.
Turn my headphones up. Turn my headphones up. Keyboard.
Let's,
Lower octave. All right. So, should I just get right into it?
get right into it. The audience is going to get it, especially if they're our age. They're going to sit there and say, oh, shit.
I'm going to like preface this with a few things. First of all, music today is made with computers. And just like, like even like movies back in the day were made with the story, the acting, everything had to be
Yeah.
like intense because there was no CGI, there was no this and that. And like people like the Beatles or whoever would sit down with no electricity, a pad and a pen, and a guy on a piano, and a melody was written. And that's where the substance comes from. And that's why, not to toot my own horn, but my records are timeless. Like good music has no expiration date. You could put it on now or then, and the shit is forever. Like my catalog just keeps going. Whereas most records now, people like them, but it's like fast food. That's it. And it tanks. So with that being said, like I have a couple of the records that I've done. They are like considered to be some of the most iconic, I guess, piano riffs or whatever in the history of music. One of them is, my buddy Dr. Dre and I, we made the Chronic 2000 album together, and this was one of the pieces I came up with in the.
That's insane
Like that.
to me. Now, let me ask you this, Scott. The first time you presented this, was it freestyle or you did it privately yourself?
Freestyle.
So the first time you showed him this, what was his reaction?
I mean, I've told this story before. Like, we were working in the studio, and it was like towards the end of the making of the album, and he programmed the boom, ka, boom, boom, the drum pattern, and just left it playing, and went into like the kitchen, which is in earshot, to make like a sandwich or something, and I just was throwing shit against the wall, and I started playing that, and I was thinking to myself, why not play something really sloppy instead of going? I made it stutter and go. Like I make it the wrong is the right. Sometimes our imperfections is a perfection. So I did that, and like all of a sudden, Dre opens the door. He's like, "That's it. That's my fucking single." It was like that, and by the end of the day, he sent it off to Jay-Z to write it, and it came back, and it was fire. It was fucking fire, dude.
Oh, trust me, I know because we played it. Everybody played it.
Give me a Rhodes.
And Scott, who were you at that point? Because Dre was already Dre, but you weren't known at that point. I know you were with the Roots, but at this point, Dre was here. Where were you?
It's you should have your headphones on, man. I was the producer's producer. No, I mean, like, honestly, I started in the Roots and did a lot of stuff for them. Very underappreciated, and I was the guy who, like, again, came up with a lot of the nucleus of what that shit was. And I left the group, and was told that I was like the Pete Best of the Roots. You know, Pete Best is the guy that quit the Beatles.
Left the Beatles, yeah.
Yeah. And like, I mean, even my girlfriend like broke up with me because of that and said, "Oh, you fucked up," and this and that. I was like, "No, I didn't. Like, I see bigger. I'm not gonna go on the road with a bunch of guys that don't appreciate me and be like, that's the white guy who plays keys in the Roots." Like,
So
no,
they
I'm the
didn't
fucking
appreciate
guy
you.
coming up with all the shit.
They didn't appreciate you.
Not at all. As
There was
a matter
a
of fact,
falling
they
out.
called me the White Devil. And I'm like the most harmonious, loving, non-racist person ever. And like, it just hurt me. I was like,
how'd
man,
you meet
fuck.
him? How'd you link up with them? Because I work out to one of the songs from Roots, the one
and
that
I
you
love-
did.
Yeah. Well, that wasn't made for the Roots. That song, after I left the Roots, they realized, I guess, that they needed me still. And I was, you know, I got my own little studio in this place called Sigma Sound where all the like disco stuff was recorded.
This is where? What city?
in Philly.
Okay.
And they record there downstairs. So of course they come upstairs and they're like, you got anything? And they saw I was working with this girl. I'm working with a girl who at the time worked at Urban Outfitters. And now she's one of the most legendary neo-soul legends, Jill Scott.
Of course.
So Jill Scott was not an artist. I was like, yo, you should be an artist. You're awesome. She was like working at Urban Outfitters and doing an off-Broadway rendition of Rent. And Questlove came in and heard what we were making. And he said, oh, I got to have this. And that was You Got Me, the song you like to work out to. And they told me, like, when I gave it to them, I was like, make sure Jill stays on it. And at the last minute, they switched it to Erykah Badu.
Huh.
But Jill wrote it.
Erykah Badu.
And a lot of the people that I brought in the studio like that I believed in, that were the writers, they became stars. Like Neo, before he was an artist, was the guy that did Let Me Love You with me, with my boy Cam. But, what was I gonna play? This is, you know how it's doing that? Reload it. There we go. So this is a little something. I remember sitting in Westlake Studios, just, again, trying to receive satellite, and just like all of a sudden shit spontaneously happens. Me and Justin Timberlake were sitting, just the two of us, in this like tiny little, and there's a big live room and then there's the small one. And I had the Fender Rhodes set up and you get the idea.
I already know. I found out from.
And is it typically like right off the bat? Because when you hear that song, it stays.
The simplest shit is the most infectious shit sometimes. Like less is
Simple
more.
shit, wow. I can listen to that on repeat. Yeah. Oh my God. I've probably listened to that song 500 times this
That's
year.
the Roots.
Oh,
There's passion in that.
yeah.
You know, I didn't learn how to play. I didn't get taught. I had a cassette recorder. I would put on this broken, shitty upright piano that my parents had when I was a little kid. I just,
Boom.
I just put it like.
What was the inspiration though? Like,
learn
who did you look up to when you're coming up?
You know, when I was that age, I was like 10 years old. I was listening to a combination of people like Ozzy Osbourne and Iron Maiden and Motown and Earth, Wind and Fire. I got this cassette called the 25th anniversary of Motown. They even did a live show, legendary. That's where Michael Jackson kind of unveiled the moonwalk and all that Berry Gordy thing. So yeah, I just taught myself how to play, and like I've always just was winging it. And I moved to Philly. I grew up in Florida. I moved to Philly at 15, and like I was like just going into 9th grade. And we were in the suburbs of Philly, and I would skip school and go into the city and try and find musicians. And I met these guys, Questlove and all these guys. And we would set up on the street and like borrow power from a store, and we would just jam. And we ended up getting Wendy Goldstein's ear, who was at Geffen. She's now the head of Republic.
She was a Geffen?
She was at Geffen.
She was
an
at Geffen.
A&R,
Got it.
yeah. And we got it like. you know, a great deal. You know what I mean? None of us made any money or anything like that from the earlier stuff. But yeah, like
How did you get linked up with Dre?
with Dre, I went to LA for the first time, and there was a girl from Philly randomly out there who had like ran up to me. She's like, Scott, da, da, da. And like I put her on You Got Me as well. She was one of my friends. And I don't know if you know who that I'm talking about, but it's Eve. You know,
The rapper Eve.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah,
she
of
had
course.
a real
Rough
cool
Rider.
tattoo.
Mrs. Gumball.
Yeah.
So Eve, she's like, yo, you always were cool to me, and her brother E-Rex, and they were like, yo, we're gonna get you in with Dr. Dre. I'm like, Dr. Dre? Are you serious? And it's the first time I'm like broke as shit, and you know, 3 months behind in Philly on rent, and I go in to see Dre, and she kept her word, and I went in, I waited in the lobby for like 4 hours, and then they said, Dre's waiting for you in the live room. I had no music to play for him. And I go in and he's like, Eve said you good on them keys, man. And I was like, all right. And I just thought to myself, I'm not going to play anything I ever played before. I'm going to do the most ominous, like gangster type shit that I can think of. Not like the P-Funk shit that the West Coast was doing at that time. I was wanting to do something because I know Dre's into that type of stuff. And I just do something. And I played for a couple minutes, and like within an hour, I had like a hotel key for a nice boutique hotel, like 10 G's. All my problems were solved. And I remember I went back and I got my stuff, and I started a new life at that point. And I had to have like all my shit sent from Philly to LA. And like Dre and I just were like, psh. The next day, I went in to meet him in the studio, and he's like, I got this like white rapper kid. He's really dope. His name's Marshall. And like we made just the two of us that day, which is like his first release on Aftermath.
Get out of here.
No, serious.
Marshall Mathers, you're talking.
No,
of
we're
course.
watching 8 Mile right
Eminem
now with the boys.
Yeah. And then the next day, I struck gold again. Like, you know, we're not on every day. Even Dre, this was Dre's expression. He said, you don't have to be on every day, just most days. You know what I mean? Like, which means your success rate, we're human, but if you're really the shit, you're usually going to come with that fire.
And when you first time met Marshall, when you first time met him,
he had black hair, he was chubby, and he didn't look even nothing like.
did you feel there was something special about
Bro,
him?
he's
Right off the bat?
A beast.
Like, but right off the bat, you felt it.
Huh?
Where you said, this guy's different.
Yeah, immediately. And I knew, obviously, Dre his ears are priceless, so, you know.
His ears are priceless, so he can.
Yeah, when I went to tell, like, the people in the Roots that, like, I was still, like, talking to sort of that I was going to work with Dre, they were like, you working with Dre 10 years too late, bro. Good luck. I'm like, yeah. And we went on the run of runs.
Did they
and
really
we lit
say
up,
that?
Yeah, they're just all haters.
What happened to those guys?
No, I mean, they're on the Jimmy
They're
Fallon
on
show
Jimmy
as a house
Fallon, the
band.
Roots, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not trying to just dog them
Questlove
out,
is-
like, whatever.
is-
That was a part of my
the
journey.
Same
Roots?
group, yeah. Can you pull them up, Rob? Yeah, they're on Jimmy Fallon every single night.
Yeah.
But do they make new stuff, or it's just they're playing whatever that they're
I don't
playing?
know. You would know that one.
I don't know, like, I mean, they play a lot of, like, cool music.
What year did the Baby You Got Me? If you
97. I made
Okay,
that.
so and then I want to say chronologically, if we go in order, Marshall Mathers, his first album that came out in '98. That was before the Chronic
No, it
2000s,
was
right?
99.
99. Okay.
Yeah, the end of 99, believe it or not.
Hi, my name is.
Yeah.
My name is. So that was before you did Still Dre.
Well, yeah, Dre released him, I think, if I remember correctly, first. Our, the Chronic album, Dre's album, was came out in 2001. We started in 99. Yeah.
And when it comes down to him, okay, first impression, walks into the room. Your feel, your vibe when you meet him. What's he like? Forget about ones. You know, some
He's
guys
a funny dude.
He is a funny dude.
Yeah. He got a lot more serious over the years, but like, yeah, he's just a funny dude. Like, super cool. Eats Taco Bell every day, literally every day. Yeah, he's a cool guy. He used to come to the house and make beats with me. He's such a, like, you know, like the things that make me laugh that stand out with Eminem. Like, I remember Dre walking in the studio, and I just happened to be in the room with M, and M was adding, the album was done, and he was adding sound effects. like actual sound effects, like things that related to his lyric, like if it's a gunshot or something drop, whatever it is. He was like, a glass cracking, whatever it is, like he was just doing that. And I remember Dre being like, yo, enough of them motherfucking sound effects, man. It's done. But he's like a mad scientist. He's like really involved. He's not just a rapper. He's like producing the album, bringing the magic out of it, the sauce.
What was the schedule like? Like you guys are coming in like late. You're going until 6 o'clock in the morning. What was it like when you're working with
Not Dre's
Dre?
crew. It was organized. It was 3 o'clock to like 2 or 3.
3 o'clock in the afternoon till 2 or 3.
Yeah, every time.
And he was super. So what are you guys doing when you guys in there together? What does it look like?
I mean, it's different days. Dre has like specific like casts that are on like certain days. Like sometimes it was more intimate. It was just he and I and maybe one other guy and the engineer. And then it was like sometimes a lot of people, like, sometimes you bring in percussionists. So that, the characters change in it. But, the nucleus of a lot of the things.
This is you guys here?
Yeah. I was a nerd.
How old were you in that picture, Scott?
Well, if I'm 51 now, that was in 99.
36 years ago. 99 is 36 years ago?
Remember, I dropped out of school.
26 years ago. 99, 26 years ago. So 51, you're 25 years old.
25.
So are you, at this point, have you already started playing, experiencing Hollywood ladies, partying or not yet?
No.
Not at all.
No,
And Dre's super
all music.
disciplined.
Yeah. And like, there were some fun moments in there. There was like a skit on the album where he wanted like the sound of like sex stuff going on, and like all these porn stars were brought in, and like that was a fun session.
Wait, the porn stars came in for the sound?
Yeah, he
of a
got
song.
on microphones and just like made sex sounds and
That's
shit
it.
like that. Yeah.
That's it. They came in just for the
Did you
sounds.
guys
Dude,
use
Dre is so cool with the shit. I seen Dre have stone and a shovel to catch a like all kinds. It's all set up in the live room with mics on it and shit. Like insane. He goes to different levels than most people. But look, I worked with Dre. It was a great period of my life. But at some point that I realized that Dre has his empire. It's now time to build mine. You know what I mean? And that moment happened at the Grammys in 2005. In 2005, I went there, and a lot of the music, obviously, the one award that a producer can get is the Producer of the Year. Mm-hmm. And I watched Dre receive the Producer of the Year. I was jealous, I think, because I was involved in some of the music that year, and I was like, you know what? I want that for myself. So I told Dre, I love you, best of friends. I'm gonna move back to Florida. I'm not gonna make gangsta music. I'm gonna just go a different direction and just try and build my shit. And then that came to 2006. I had almost I think it was 32 weeks at #1, something crazy, of all the records that I did, from Let Me Love You to Baby Boy, Naughty Girl, Me, Myself, and I, Candy Shop. These were all in all these hits I made that year. And I was like, I'm gonna be the Producer of the Year. I broke every record there is as a producer to break. And I remember I was sitting with Marilyn Manson, and my girlfriend at the time was Paris Hilton. Yeah. And we went there. I left in disgust because I was, one of the nominees, but I wasn't nominated. And I couldn't understand it. And I realized it ended up being one of this guy who produced like 2 songs for the Gorillaz. But there's a thing called the National Academy of Recording Arts and Sciences, NARAS. They're the who decides who gets the Grammys. And it's like a panel of, you got to be their poster child and suck their dick all fucking year long. I was busy making music. I was in the fucking trenches, like getting it in and like going beyond the abilities of any human being. And they, because they're like, oh, how did you touch the culture? And it's not, I killed it. I was all culture. But it's like they get to do what they want to do. And fuck the Grammys.
How you feel
There's
about
nothing
it
with
today?
stats in that. Like, there's no, it's not like Billboard Awards or something. So I would, yeah. So
Let me ask you with the Grammys, just out of curiosity. I mean, it's got nothing to do with this. I want to come back to Paris and I want to hear Candy Shop. I want to hear all that stuff. But with Grammys, why is it everybody thinks Beyonce? Well, how much power does Beyonce have?
I don't know. I can turn that story around. when we did that Dangerously in Love album,
Yeah.
one of the biggest honors of my career, there's a video clip you could find online where she's accepting her award for like best album or whatever, and this and that, I forget what the category was. She thanked Jesus, she thanked me, and then she thanked Jay-Z. I was like, oh, I beat Jay-Z.
What year is this?
Boom,
What
boom.
year is
No,
this?
it was a vital part of the album. Like we sat in a studio for almost a month and just thugged it out. And like I brought in somebody from Philly who was like an old school rapper that I just knew would add some street to it with her like perfect prettiness of like a lot of stuff she writes. It was a gutter. We made like some amazing shit.
Who was in the album in the studio with you and Beyonce at that time?
This writer named EST from 3 Times Dope, which is like an old school rap group. And I convinced Beyonce, like, yo, this guy's gonna add something to it. She's like, all right, I trust you, whatever. And that was it. I produced all, at that time, like everything by myself. I didn't have any like now you'll see 20 names on a fucking song. And
What was your experience working with Beyonce? Was she a diva? Was she sweet? Was she fun?
she
cool?
was an absolute dream to work with. So like talented. I mean, I would say like one of the best singers and female like soul singers ever to live, from Aretha Franklin, Patti LaBelle, Beyonce. There's range, power in that voice, and she has a distinct idea of what she wants. She's an integral part of the writing, and one of the most talented people I've ever worked with.
Really?
I mean, we made one of the songs that I love. I mean, everybody knows that. But she was like emoting. Yeah, it's a naughty girl. And we did the Baby Boy. No, go back to the other sound. But we made the one that I love the most, which is Me, Myself, and I, because it was like very like heartfelt. And I added a nice surprise chord. I can't believe,
Sing it, Scott.
It's like Rod Temperton singing like the Michael Jackson songs. I wanna rock with you.
Oh no! So while you were there with Beyonce, where was Jay-Z at this point? Were they married?
Not
were they
there.
together?
Yeah. I'd rather not comment on any of that stuff. But like, yeah, they were. I mean, he wasn't around, but
Okay.
she was in there, focusing on her album.
But did you work with Jay-Z at all?
I've worked with him. Yeah. I worked with him. I had a bunch of shit I did with him and Timberland, the Ola Bobito, all that stuff. I played on.
How was he like? What was he like?
Hove?
Yeah.
He likes to get people on their toes. I remember one time he came to the Hit Factory, Criteria Studios in North Miami, and it's probably one of the most legendary studios in the world. Forget about Miami. But like, Timberland would have his studio on one end of the building. I had my studio on the other end. And I remember Jay-Z came over and he said, yo, Scott, Timberland making some fire over there. I was like, really? Really? I get a call like from Timberland. He's like, what you making over there, man? Jay-Z came over and told me that you had some super fire over there. He was trying to get us on our competitive to get the best out of us and like get the eye of the tiger out of us, like piss us off. Like, oh, his shit was hot and mine wasn't. Like, smart guy.
Did it work?
Yeah, it kind of worked.
Did it work? It got you guys too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it did. Well, we figured it out though.
What was? Did you ever do anything with Kanye?
With Kanye?
Yeah.
Man, he used to be one of my musical heroes. Used to be. I mean, the music is still great, and that won't change. But as a person who was my friend and somebody I thought was an amazing person, one of the most creative people, turned out to be a fucking piece of shit. And I will fucking lose it if I see this guy in public, man. You know, like the disrespect that this man did to Jewish people and just labeling us and like glorifying Hitler and shit like that, and then doing it again and like really going like for the jugular. If I was in a room, I'd probably fucking crack him in his face. And like, he broke my heart. One of his people, Che, that like works for Good Music, is one of my friends. And I said, yo, tell your man he hurt me. Like, I thought I was his friend, but I guess I can't be his friend because I'm Jewish. Like, word? Like, you're going to glorify that. What if a motherfucker's walking around talking about glorifying, like, slavery and shit like that? Like, how does that work? Like, how are you going to do that and just, like, hurt so many people? I don't know what was behind that. Like, shock value at the expense of, like, so many people's heartbreaking. And, like, we lost Kanye. Like, I threw out all my Yeezys. I couldn't believe it.
Seriously.
I mean, are you aware of, like, how this dude, like, he really went in, man, like, on some hate shit. Like, I don't get that. Like, yeah, the Taylor Swift shit was funny, like, sort of, like, whatever. But this is a different story, man.
Why do you think? I mean, you're in the world. Why do you think he did?
I don't know, man. Like, a lot of cool Jewish people, like, help them rise to the top. You know what I mean? There's a lot of cool people. Like,
Are you in contact with him? Like, have you asked him? Have you approached him or no?
No, I sent a message to him just telling him he broke my heart. I'm cool. It's all good.
He never got back to
He's
you?
a clown, dude. He's a clown. Made great music, but he's a fucking clown.
No, it's
I'm not going to hold back. I might get some backlash for the shit I'm saying. I don't give a fuck. I'm good. I'm good. Like, I'm good.
Like these types
Cancel
of quotes
me.
over here. I'm a Nazi. I love Hitler. Now what?
Yeah.
It's one thing as for me, I don't know Kanye like you do.
Like,
to
this is a
comment
guy
on
who,
this,
like,
but
tried
this
to,
is a
like...
friend of yours.
Yeah, like, did he forget that this is the guy who, like, fucking, like, burned people in gas chambers and, like, innocent people, kids, innocent. Like, what the fuck is that? What kind of clown shit is? I know you want to be witty and you want to be original, you want to be cool and say some off the cuff shit or some weird shit. That shit's not cool, man. Who the fuck are you?
Who's closest? Because when you saw this pattern, it was right after what happened with his shoe deal. It was right after Kim K, right after things happened, marriage issues. Who's in his ear that he would listen to? Who do you think he is where he can explain why he's gotten here? Because he lost a lot of money. It's not like this was a smart business decision. It cost him billions of dollars. Mm-hmm. Who's in his ears that he would listen to?
I don't know, man. I don't know. He ain't listening to nobody. He got some screws loose.
But is John Monopoly still managing him?
I have no idea.
When was the last time you had any interaction with him?
Last time I met him over at, he called me down to meet him at Rick Rubin's studio. The guy that did the Beastie Boys and shit. Mm-hmm. He had a place called Shangri-La in Malibu. And I remember when I got there, he was in a meeting with James Purse, the clothing guy, and waited. And we just hung out for a little bit, and, you know, it was all good.
What year was that?
I don't remember.
This is you and Kanye?
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen.
That shit, it hurts me to, like, lose people like that. But, like, I don't care, man. I don't got time for that.
How close were you guys?
Not close. Not that close, but I don't know.
But on the music side, I mean, it's obviously you appreciated his talent. I mean,
he's a beast in the studio. But that's no excuse. Look, I got my faults. I was fucking, like, maniac cokehead and lost $100 million, like, partying and shit. That shit's not smart either. But one's a disease and one's hate. So, whatever. I have a good heart. And I think all people are created equally. And, you know, I don't care what race, creed, color, this, that you are. We all the same. We all shit brown. Like, you know, it's so funny. Like, I always make this analogy, like, in terms of, like, Middle Easterns and Israelis or whatever. I'm like, we all eat kebabs, man. Like, it's all good, you know? But, like, I don't know. Here's what it is. I just got to move on.
You were talking about earlier when you went to the Grammys with Paris and you guys used to date, you and Paris Hilton?
Yeah. I mean.
How did that happen?
She came, I was living at the time on Indian Creek Island. Why I left there, I'm fucking retarded. Ivanka Trump just recently bought that house. I you know.
Bought your house?
Yeah, my old house.
Okay.
My old house. But after that house, I sold that house. I bought it from the founder of Southern Wine and Spirits. And then I sold it like a couple years later to move closer to Disaster, which was, I was safe in Bal Harbor, like, and then I moved to Palm Island, and that's where all the fucked up shit happened. So yeah, Paris came to work with me. We ended up dating and had a relationship, and she introduced me to like paparazzi's nightlife, being like the man, Us Weekly, fucking, TMZ, like this whole party life and wild shit like that I never experienced before because I was like in the studio night and day. I was rich. I had every car you can imagine, but they only went from the house to the studio and back. Like friends would come over and like they would go to the club and then they would come back after, and I would ask them how it was. I think I was like nervous to even be cool at that point. And then she came along and I was cool and I got addicted to that. That was some douchebag shit on my behalf that like I got so caught up in that and it changed who I was. Like I was hanging out with like people that are just not good. Like people that think they're better than others. Like, I don't want to call out names or whatever, it's too insulting, but just like Hollywood douchebags. And like, you are what you hang out with. And it changed me from being this like innocent, like soulful, like, organic person to like this quest for fame and this quest to like I wasn't even like really that sprung on Paris, but I think we both used each other. I had music and she had fame and we were just like, cool.
Oh, great connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a story that came out, a video that was shown saying back in the days when Kim K was Paris Hilton's assistant.
Yeah.
Was it true? Was Kim K Paris's assistant?
Yeah, she used to sleep in my guest room. Yep. And then some weird shit happened. I'm not gonna say what happened, and then she made it to the master bedroom. And
Kim
Paris was going, yeah.
Paris
that was
found out, or
no? It was just like she and I were done, and like I think we were both like had it, and we were like commiserating. What did he say? Karen's she's commiserating at the house from Goodfellas, whatever.
Karen.
Yeah, so like we ended up being a thing. Like she was awesome, bro. She was a super cool girl.
Kim was awesome.
Yeah, like
what was awesome about her?
She was organic and she was just like, eager to like. She wanted to like build her career up. She kind of followed Paris's blueprint with the foreign shit after whatever. But at that time, she was just a cool kid and like. Put it this way: there's a video on YouTube somewhere where I'm pulling up in car number 4 Bugatti Veyron ever. So like it was the new thing, like people were reintroduced to Bugatti. And I pulled up with Kim Kardashian to Mansion on Washington Avenue.
Yeah, 12th and Washington.
Is that it?
Yep, that's it. It's funny, you guys are quick. That's my car too, behind him. That was my driver that used to carry all my drugs for me.
Mercedes Maybach, I think.
That was 62.
Yeah. And that's you and Kim
I bought
right
one
there?
of those for Paris. Yeah, that's me and Kim. But if you listen to the audio on that, nobody knows that's Kim. They're just like, there's Scott Storch.
Yeah, that's Scott Storch, yo.
In the Bugatti.
Yo,
If I put this clip up, I would say the caption would be first. I had the first Bugatti. First with Kim.
Andrew Tate can thank you, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Scott
No,
Storch,
I taught
huh?
motherfuckers how to ball.
That's Kim K?
Yep.
So at this point, are you guys an item or just
Yeah,
hanging
I mean,
out?
obviously.
Yeah. And how did Paris feel about the fact that,
I didn't
she
give a
went...
fuck.
No, how did Paris feel? What did this do to her relationship with Kim?
It didn't help. It was done already.
Oh, it was done
At
already.
that point, yeah.
Got
was
it.
like all fake shit. Dude, I'm gonna stop. I have so many sub stories within that would have you like, if I told them, but it's just like, yeah. Kim was abused, like, by that friendship, taunted, because she was so hot. I guess there was maybe jealousy or something.
Who was so hot?
Kim.
Kim was hot.
Yeah, she was
Was it
bad.
more physically hot or her energy, her spirit, her...
Everything. Her mom was hot, like that, like she was dope, like back in the day. Like she just, that family, they was cool. But she's like, she was at a low point, like too, and so it was like some guy that she was with, like I think like blew her inheritance or something at that point, like that she got, and one of her dudes, like she was like taking punches, but she said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go there," and she did it, and then she had the last laugh.
She definitely did have the last laugh, and she's
She's the
still
shit.
laughing. How's the relationship today with you and Kim and Paris?
I'm cool with everybody, man. Like, I don't know, maybe not after this interview. No, but I just recently spoke to Kim not long ago and, laughed about, old times and shit. But yeah, she's hella cool. She's still.
Yeah.
She's been through a lot, man. Like that marriage with that fucking retard, bro. I can imagine that takes its toll. Because I know other people that have dated him too. One of them's Amber Rose, who's like a fucking amazing person. We call her mother because she's such a motherly person. Mm-hmm. And this dude used to like make her like try and dress her and like a doll, like it's a weirdo. I'll never forget Kanye. Not to just be on dissing Kanye, but I remember he came in to visit me and Dr. Dre, and we're in the studio in the middle of making beats, and we were like kind of interrupted, but we were like, all right, cool, whatever. And he's like, I need to take a picture with you guys. So we took a picture with him. It was cool. He left the building, went to drove somewhere, came back and said, my outfit wasn't right. Let me take another picture. And said, and it's like, me and Dre looked together like, fuck out of here. What the fuck is this shit? He stormed out of the studio one time later, I was told, I wasn't there, with Dre, and he called him the devil. He's like, you're the devil. And he ran out like.
Kanye called Dre the devil?
Yeah. Yeah.
What prompted that?
I don't fucking know. He's making devil music for me or something. I guess he was on his holy kick at that point or whatever.
You're making devil music for me with Dre. Huh.
The world's never heard these stories. I'm just letting it rip today. Fuck it.
Good.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to be pissed at me. Who cares?
Well, I mean.
I'm like the grumpy old man.
But by the way, did you ever watch the movie Straight Outta Compton?
Yeah.
What did you think about it?
It was cool. It was cool. I mean, it's a Hollywood movie, A lot of the shit gets...
Exaggerated a little bit?
I don't know. Can be, yeah. But I mean, those guys, like, they're forefathers of rap music and the independent record label and shit like that. Like, there's many things about that, like, that changed the face of music. Dre is a beast. That's all I can say. He knows, some people know how to start a record. He knows how to finish a record. There's another producer like that, Lou Bell, who does all Post Malone shit. So super talented guy. Super organized, like, almost reminds me of, what's the guy, 10 Minutes to Wapner, Rain Man.
Rain Man.
Like, he's fucking Rain Man. The guy's so intense. Lou Bell, yeah, that guy. He's another, like, in a different way, but, like, that level of that Dre's at. But knowing how to finish a record. He does, like, him and Andrew Watt, they do, like, all the Post Malone shit. He's a modern day genius. But, where did I got off track?
Yeah, you were talking about, Kanye, you were talking about Kim, Paris, how that whole thing came about and pulling up in a Bugatti, the Ford one.
Mm-hmm. Ralph Lauren beat me. I think the first two were not sold, but it was car number 4 of that.
And in this whole Dre situation, you're in the studio and all this, when does Snoop come into your situation?
Bro, very early. That was one of the coolest things.
Yeah, well, tell us about Snoop.
He's
Snoop
awesome. He's awesome, bro. I consider myself, like, a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm cool with Snoop. Me and him are pals. Like, we're cool. Like, he's always shown me love. And he's such a humble guy. I remember one time I went to his house in Claremont back in the day, and he's one of my mug shots. That's nice.
What are you gonna pull on mug shots?
No, one of he was like sweeping up his own house and shit, and I was just like, he's just a cool guy, man. Loves to smoke
Snoop
weed.
was
obviously.
sweeping up his own.
Yeah, I remember he was just like cleaning up and shit. Like,
good for him.
Did you ever film? What did you produce with Dre and Snoop together?
Still Dre.
So it's okay. It was,
Yeah, the number one, I think, rap song in the history of music.
There it is. And then in that time period,
But I did stuff on Snoop's albums too.
Okay.
But look, going to these sessions and becoming part of this album that was like, I think there was like a lack of like where we're going with the sound before I got there. I mean, it was like cool, and I got there and it's like all of a sudden there's this like not P-Funk thing happening anymore. It's like more orchestral and like ominous sounding shit. That's when we started, we went into these sessions, and I was meeting people that were like blowing my mind every day. Like Snoop was there, this one, all these fucking amazing people were there, and I never was around famous people like that other than the Roots. And it was so amazing.
what was the one time when someone walked in, you're like, get out of town, this guy's here? Who was that?
all kinds of weird people. I mean, nobody like, I'm just like, maybe just like thrown off like by certain, like Pauly Shore would walk in the studio, like just random people. Like, who the fuck? Like, he would like take pictures of us.
Encino Man.
There you went. And then in this time period, Death Row Records. Tupac had recently been killed a few years prior. What was Suge Knight's involvement on this? What stories do you have with Suge?
My Suge stories were a little later. They were like 7, 8 years later. But, you know, there's good and bad in everybody. But I know that, you know, I don't know what happened because I wasn't there, like between him and Dre and all that shit. So I can only speculate. But I was living in LA in Ted Field's house that he was prior to me living in this area called the Summit, like really prestigious gated community. And if you know anything about LA, you want to be in Beverly Park, where Rod Stewart and all these people live, or the Summit. So
The Summit in Woodland Hills?
No, the Summit is in Beverly Hills.
Okay.
Yeah. And like everybody lived in there. I mean, countless people. Van Halen, all these people like in there. And I was in there, and this is like a replica of, I think it was like the Prince of Monaco's house, some crazy fucking house. Like, and I rented it, like, and one day I'm like coming back, like maybe the third or fourth day, living in there, I see Suge and his son walking, and I was like, Suge lives in here. Interesting. So he noticed me, and then like randomly we ended up like hanging, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. It is what it is. It was a bittersweet relationship, but you know, I still got love for him. He is the guy that got Tupac out of jail and blessed us with that for the world. Like, but you mentioned something earlier about what's my funniest Suge story. Suge and I went to Vegas one time together and checked into the Cosmo, and I was in a room under his name. He got the rooms for us.
This has got to be last 15 years because Cosmo's 15 years old.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a knock at the door. Security. I'm like, what the fuck's going on? There's an unpaid minibar bill. I'm like, what the fuck? What's going on? Obviously, I'm a fuck up at this point. I'm completely out of my mind on drugs, coke, ecstasy, and fucking everything. And unpaid. I was like, oh, okay, I'll go down and pay it. This and that. They just had gots for fucking Suge, right? And I'm taken down not to the front desk to pay this minibar bill, but I'm taken to a holding cell. Mind you, I had like bags, and when they knocked on the door, I grabbed it and put it in here. As soon as I was a fucking idiot. I was like, can I have a tissue? And I took one of the bags. I put the bag in the tissue and threw it in the garbage. A cop comes running in. We got it. And I was off to jail. In PC, handcuffed to a tranny for like 2 days. And he finally, Suge bailed me out. And then he got arrested for, I think, throwing a bag of McDonald's out the window of my Bentley Mulsanne. And it was just the most random shit. Like, yeah, on the same train. We were like, let's get the fuck out of here, bro. And it was just one of those moments. It was such a dysfunctional moment. But, you know, we'll just say that he and I were not on our, like, best level of our lives.
Scott, how did you get into the whole, like, the first time you did coke, how old were you? Like, when you started getting into it?
It was the year, I think, 2006.
Oh, so 99, you're doing stuff with Dre. You're doing nothing.
Nothing my whole
you're
life.
Clean.
I told you I was introduced to a certain life when I fucking. I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying that life introduced me to drugs.
So first time you did it, who was it with?
Use your imagination.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So first time you guys, okay,
yeah.
The two of you together, got it. And then from there, was it like 0 to 100 million like this?
It was fucking fun. What do you mean in terms of?
How quickly did you go through the $100 million? Partying, the fast life, the X, the coke. Did it last a few years?
A couple million a month, like, you know, 3 million. No, I was going for a minute. Like, I was living great. But like I said this like recently, but I was a collector of things. Like Tchotchkes, whatever, you know what that is? It's
Tchotchkes,
like,
yeah.
Tchotchkes, like Swarovski, Yadros,
little gifts, little
Laliques,
nothing,
and this
little
and that.
whatever.
Pieces of art, planes, boats, you know, anything. I had 30 cars, you know, whatever it is. I was like
30 cars.
yeah. I remember Mike Gordon, the guy that owned the Fort Lauderdale collection. He sent me home one day. He said, "You have everything. Get the fuck out of here." I was like, "What's that classic back there?" It's a Cuda. I'll take it. And he kicked me out the door. I was like, "No, I want it. I want it."
And who was in your corner at this point, that being like, Scott, pump the brakes?
My financial guy who said I was unmanageable.
Huh.
Yeah. I would buy shit sometimes just to like prove to myself that like I was like a human, like I was cool, because to make up for the like low self-esteem for knowing what I was doing with drugs.
So you knew what you were doing was wrong, but you overcompensated with material items? Is that what you're saying?
I guess, yeah, I would like be fucking up for 3 days and feel like a piece of shit, feel like an animal. And like I would order like 4 cars, like just to like make myself feel better.
What did you buy? Like, are you
Anything. SLRs, Astons, this, that, the other. Whatever was cool at the time. Murciélagos.
Tell me about your upbringing, mom and dad, relationship. Who are you closer?
I'm not really close with my parents. I mean, I love my mom. I love my dad. I just lost my dad.
Sorry to hear.
I kind of like grew up not understanding the dynamic of my parents' relationship. And I was like always like as a kid blaming my dad because they broke up and like this and that. But then I realized they're both humans. My mom was nagging the shit out of him. She was like, Bayside Queens. It sounded like Fran Drescher just like bitching at you all the time. Just hypochondriac and just, but I love her. She's a great heart, but you know, she's like, you know what Mother's Little Helper is, the song from the Rolling Stones about Valium? 40 years of Valium, 50 years of Valium does something to your brain.
Wow.
Yeah. And then combine that with after my dad, she was with Frank DeMeo, the famous hitman. And that was like...
She was with Frank DeMeo?
Yeah. Like she was like...
The Frank DeMeo.
No, there's Roy DeMeo. There's a bunch of them. But like, yeah. This guy's from Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn. And he was a hitman. His father was an underboss, Jimmy DeMeo. And there's quite a few DeMeos in the mafia world. But like this guy... I remember like, she's like, why don't you go with Frankie and like, you know, you bond with him. And this guy was a racist fucking asshole. But like, I remember he takes me, I'm like 11 or 12. He takes me to the hardware store. He wanted to get a nozzle for the hose. And he's like, has a stack of money like this in his pocket. And he's like, $13, fuck that. And he puts it in his pants. Don't tell your mother. Then we go from there to his house. He was living in our garden apartment in Inverary at the time. But like, he was like, we got to stop by my house, where he was selling coke out of, I guess, or whatever. And all of a sudden I hear, I'm waiting in the car. It's like, pow, 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 pow. And he lived on a baseball field. I remember seeing him chasing some guys that were probably robbing his drug spot or something in there and like firing guns at him and shit. And he's like all this crazy shit. I was just like, don't tell your mother none of this. I'm like, holy shit.
Is this Roy DeMeo?
No, Frank DeMeo.
Frank DeMeo.
Yeah, he was like, you know the expression, a knockaround guy? A knockaround guy is like the low-level gangster guy. His father was an underboss. He was the shit. Like, he was, you know, this guy was like, again, like, you could probably find shit about this guy for sure.
Frank
He was
DeMeo.
involved. When my mom met him, he was like running the Tin Lizzy. It's like one of these restaurants in Fort Lauderdale, and Bobby Rubino, all these guys were involved in that
Bobby
shit.
Rubino.
Bobby Rubino.
The place for ribs.
Yeah, these are like fucking mafia spots, bro.
Really?
Fuck yeah. Like fucking cash cows. But so yeah, like that was one of the reasons why I moved in with my dad, like, because I remember like one of my first experiences of trying to make music, and I was doing anything I could, these kids that were like New Edition cover band. We were called the Omni 5. And it was like 4 brothers and me. And like, I remember he came home and it's like hot Florida day and there's like 5 brothers in the living room with no shirts on. And he's like, get the fuck out of here. With your mom's in here. I'm like, so? Like, whatever. I was like, man, fuck this. I'm going to my dad. I moved in with my dad. And then he moved to Philly.
How old were you when you lived with dad?
15.
And mom didn't mind. She didn't have a problem.
I mean, part of it, like, also was like she broke up with that guy too short after that, and then like she didn't, because I was gonna go back and live with her again after that, but she couldn't. She lost her alimony because he moved in with us in Inverary. So she moved in with her parents, who live in Lauderdale West, and there was no room for me. So I stugged it out with my dad. I didn't want to move to Philly, but I'm glad I did. Everything happens for a reason. It's all written in the stone.
So you were closer to Pops.
I became, like I said, like I wasn't thrilled with him, but he was definitely a stable parent. Like, you know what I mean? His thing was the ponies. He liked to play. Like, you know what I mean?
Horse races?
I got a new system. I've got the sheets and the this and that. Like always like, look, casinos don't make money from the buffet.
So was the chaos from your upbringing something that put the fire in your belly to keep competing at the highest levels to kind of prove value to yourself? Was it kind of like,
well,
was when you're talking about you just bought 4 cars, like, you're like, every time I want to
insecure, like, yeah. You know what's so funny though? I'm gonna come back to what you just said. Lately, my motto has been, you don't need to have a Ferrari, you be the Ferrari. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm potent when I talk to a girl. Like, I feel like I don't need all that shit. I don't need this. I mean, I have things, but like, I typically don't. I don't like even like really like that shit doesn't matter anymore to me. Name brands and shit. I'd rather wear a black T-shirt and,
Your son sitting to your left. Now, the weird life you've lived. What advice are you giving him? I mean, you're open about it, so it's not like you're, Dude, he knows dad.
He's giving me advice. Like, what the fuck kind of shit? This kid, his work ethic is so crazy. Like, he'll be working before you wake up and working when you go to sleep.
I love that.
He's that dude.
I love
and he absorbed this shit. Like, he's another alien and such a good soul. So,
does it come natural to him how it came natural to you? Did you teach him? How does that work? Does it run through the blood?
Shit.
Yeah.
Yep. He's just passionate. Like I said, anything you do, if you do it for passion, not for money, and like, you get good at it, man. And fucking money just comes from that. Like, me and him, like, we're making records together. Like, all the shit I do now, I do it with my son.
But by the way, what's the business model? When you say you went through $100 million, that means you had to make a couple $100 million. What is the business model in being a producer? Because you said when you first went to Dre, he gave you $10,000 hotel room, things like that, right? So
the publishing, the revenue streams that come from that, there's so many. There's songwriter share, neighboring rights, publishing.
Can you give an example? Like, what song that you wrote, that you produced, what one song gave you the most income?
Dude, they're all like huge. I made some of the biggest records.
Give me one of them. Like you said, off this one song, off this album, I made, $6.8 million.
I made the most money when I went to Florida in the mid-2000s because I was doing, it wasn't like I was splitting and making the records with like a bunch of people. I was doing them by myself, all of them. All of them. Beyonce's records, huge. Mario, Let Me Love You, Lean Back, Make It Rain.
What does a Mario, Let Me Love You make you?
Millions.
Millions?
Yeah, still.
Till today, you're getting residuals.
Yeah, there's income streams, like I said, for a publisher, for somebody like Blackstone who's trying to buy a catalog. They're going to pay at most for like these new catalogs because they, after a while, they like spike and that's it. 10x, 12x.
10x, whatever renewals is.
Yeah.
So
my catalog, 25, 30x because they know they ain't going to get it because like Dre just sold his catalog for $200 million to Warner, or Universal, excuse me. And I remember him telling me like,
that's it.
Why? Because I told him something about my catalog, and he's like, "Yo, you should sell it. This, that, the other." I said, why? I thought you're supposed to give it so you have generational wealth. He's like, fuck that. I'm like, he's like, I'm, you know, this age and this and that. And like, my kids aren't going to know how to do anything with this catalog and like, you know, really market it. And like, he's like, and I asked my lawyer, how old will I be to get 200 million out of this catalog? And he said, I think he was like 130 years old. And he's like, fuck that. I'm going to use this money while I'm on Earth and turn it in, buy real estate, do something great with it. He was concerned that if I sell a catalog like that, I'm going to blow it. He's like, are you going to blow it? Because that's it. Like, so
Yeah,
he said, if you're not going to blow it, invest it, sell it.
Showing here that Dre's catalog was making $10 million a year annually, and they bought it for $250. So if that's the case, they paid 25x for it.
My point exactly.
Wow. What's the story about the fact that Suge bought one of your catalogs for $419,000 and some change? What is that story? I think I read that somewhere.
No, that's not true. No, I don't believe any of that shit.
Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah. It was not him. He was involved in not that catalog, not that big catalog or anything, but like it was
419,306.20.
Mm-hmm.
$419,306.20.
That's not true.
I'm trying to see. Maybe I misread this.
No, it was a company called Royalty Advance Company. It wasn't the publishing
Legal
catalog.
in 2000, Scott Storch struggling financial intimidation by Suge Knight, signing to a portion of the songwriting royalties into a troubled period 2012.
Yeah, no.
Music royalties insulting. That's not true.
No.
Oh,
None of that
okay.
shit.
Because
That's
I remember
so much
when I
bullshit.
talked to Vanilla Ice told me when
hung him out
Suge held him over the balcony and you better sign this or else, and how much truth is that story? He's like, no, it kind of happened. He took a complete different angle.
Mm-hmm.
With Suge.
Do you doubt that Suge would do that with his reputation?
Well, listen, I remember one time I'm hanging out with Reggie Calloway. I don't know if you know Reggie Calloway.
Reggie Calloway from
Jay King. Reggie Calloway was "I Wanna Be Rich." He sang
Oh, yeah, Calloway, I wanna
Casanova.
be
Reggie
rich.
Calloway.
That
He
wasn't
sang
him.
at my wedding. Reggie
Casanova
Calloway.
was Levert.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he sang at the wedding.
Wanna be rich, of
But
course.
no parking on the dance floor. I think
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
him. Anyways, Jay King was with Club Nouveau. Do you remember Club Nouveau? Look at all these rumors.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jay becomes an insurance
They
agent.
also did the Lean on Me.
Yes. He did another one called "Why You Treat Me So Bad." That was my favorite song from those guys. Jay King. Till today, I listen to.
You know
it.
your shit, man.
Why You Treat Me So Bad. I mean, Jay and I we spent a lot of time together. So I say, Jay, you got to get into insurance. There's a lot of money. All right, man, I'll go get my license. He gets his insurance license. Jay, you got to learn how to sell insurance. You got to put me in front of some people. Says perfect. First person he puts me in front of is Suge Knight.
That's crazy.
This guy's not going to get approved for life insurance, Jay.
I got to tell you a funny story
Ain't
about
no
the
life
insurance.
insurance.
You want to
He
hear
brought
something?
you to Suge Knight.
He brought Jay King, introduced me to Suge Knight at, I think Jay can correct me on this. He'll call me. It was at the Four Seasons Beverly Hills or one of the. I'm like,
Burton Way.
Yeah, I don't know which one
he
it
used
was.
to love to hang there.
Yeah.
That was Suge's spot.
What was that
Suge's
interaction
spot.
like?
What
What was that interaction like?
Listen, I've had a handful of interactions with him.
Yeah.
Minus when he calls me from prison. He says, "Yo, just so you know, the P, you need to know this. The hood fucks with you." This is what Suge said. I'm like,
That
he
is
says,
true,
I want to do a
PBD.
podcast with you, man. I'm like, all right, cool, let's do it. And then we did a nice little,
There's a very loving side of him.
very interesting.
I had a
side.
Thanksgiving with him one time. This, it's a complex character in the movie. Like you can't quite figure
Yeah,
out. That's
yeah.
basically him.
Yeah.
But you were saying about insurance. I'll tell you some funny shit. In like when I lived on Palm Island. No, I was living on Las Olas at the time. I hired a caterer last minute. I was like, I need fucking 30 people catering this and that. This guy named Seth Cohen is the caterer who's serving drinks at my thing. And like I'm on top of the world. Go flash forward to like my fall. They reach out to me, this guy Seth Cohen. He's like, by the way, I'm rich as fuck now, like, and I want to hire you to make some music for it was Brad Cohen, actually, his brother, that he wanted me to make music for his wife and his kids or whatever the hell it was, and put some money in my pocket. This guy went from being my caterer to being a member of the Alfalfa Club to being like Insurance Care Direct.
Is this guy?
No, that's the lawyer.
Insurance Care Direct. Type in Insurance Care Direct.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Images Rap.
Brad and Seth, these guys blew the fuck up from an office that was smaller than half the size of this room, bro, and just sweated that shit out. And now they're buying up all the crown jewels of fucking Fort Lauderdale, the Anheuser-Busch house. There's one by one, they're buying them all. Like,
Good for these guys.
yeah, they fucking crushed it.
I mean, look.
Now the Seth is like doing AI insurance sales. He's like, was before anybody could even think of it. I think he's got the patent on it.
There's a lot of money in insurance.
Bro, he's doing,
Yeah. there's
imagine AI insurance. He played me both sides of an AI call of insurance. It was way better than a human. Like, you know, you ask this thing and it's going to answer you the right information, concise, clear, at the right tempo, aesthetically pleasing to the ear. Like, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, your whole like workforce is like going to be like,
It's going to change.
Gone.
Because the call center's gone with AI. But by the way,
increase your shit 80%. Like,
the game has changed. And insurance, there's a lot of money in it. Scott, did you ever do anything with Mariah Carey or no?
yes, that was my homegirl.
How was she?
She's awesome, bro. First of all, we made a song called Side Effects about Tommy Mottola. That was like, and I've worked with her with Jadakiss. I did the song K-I-S-S. Yeah, we did that. But Mariah used to call me and do like crank calls and like do Jerky Boys impressions. Yes, this is me, Kissel, or Saul Rosenberg.
Saul Rosenberg.
Fucking funny as hell. She's
Yeah.
awesome, bro. She's the fucking diva.
Saul Rosenberg.
What was the difference between working with someone like her versus someone like Beyonce? Both beautiful, both talented.
Bro, I mean, they're both different. You know, one is
Mariah Carey's voice.
more
is
country
one of a kind,
and like more hood, and then like and just like real. She's a diva. Like that's Park Avenue right there.
But let me tell you though, Mariah Carey's voice is truly something else.
Insane.
It honestly, like you got, if we ran a poll right now, what's the greatest voice of all time? You would hear Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
You would hear Freddie Mercury. Elvis is probably going to be on that list. Steve Perry is going to be on that list, right? You're going to have
Barbara Streisand.
I think Lou Graham from Foreigner as well.
Oh my God, I want to know what love is. Yeah, I mean those guys, 80s for sure.
Daryl Hall.
Sinatra.
You
Hall and Oates. Don't
have
get me
to.
started.
You have to. I'm looking at this list.
Mariah's a beast.
You
bro.
have to put Mariah on it. By the way, Lady Gaga's got a voice as well.
Adele.
But Mariah Carey's voice. Oh,
Mario
Christina-
has one of the greatest voices.
Christina Aguilera. Yeah.
Nah, I got
You don't
funny.
think?
She made a song, by the way, called "Fuck You, Scott Storch." Yeah, I
she
tell you why.
really?
I can tell you that's a funny fucking story. Irving Azoff, fucking special. Is there any chance I can take a 5-second
Yes,
cigarette
go
break
for
and
it.
we'll come back and
Go
talk
ahead.
about Irving fucking? They call the Poison Dwarf in the. You ever see that book Hitmen? It's about like all the like early like people in music, like the serious like moguls. Oh yeah, you see that. He's one of them. I'll explain that song when I get back after this
Okay.
advertisement.
5-minute break.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Scott Storch, and you might have seen me on the PBD podcast, and you might have some questions you want to ask me. I'm available on the Minette app, and you can ask me about pretty much anything, music, industry stuff, you know, my life and my history, or, you know, anything technical questions with music, equipment, whatever, production techniques. Check it out, Minette.
Mariah Carey is what we were talking about. You were telling the fact that Christina Aguilera wrote a song called F-U-S-S, and I think it means, does it mean what I think it means?
Fuck you.
Fuck you, Scott Storch. All right. So tell us how this happened.
How did this happen? Okay. I aligned forces with her to make the Stripped album, which sold a ridiculous amount of copies. And I did like the bulk of the album. And then Linda Perry did some from Four Non Blonde. I don't know if you know who that is. Yeah.
Mike, a little closer.
And I say,
Yeah, that song.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's
that lady, she
going
wrote
on?
a bunch.
Yeah.
Well,
Better?
that's really close.
There you go.
So,
Okay.
yeah, and that album, we killed it. Irving Azoff being her manager, guy who started like Giant Records and went on to own Live Nation, and he's like, but you know, there's a famous book called Hitmen.
This guy?
Yeah, that he's referred to as the poison dwarf. And that name is like accurate
How tall is
for
he?
this fucking guy. He's one of them guys. Like, I don't really dog anybody out. I mean, so like Kanye was like, I'm pissed at him for that, but like I'm really like, I don't really have anything bad to say about anybody. I do with this guy. So when I went to do the Poison Dwarf,
That's a pretty
Due to
solid
his
Yeah,
small
'cause he's a
stature and
fucking-
aggressive, even
like
controversial
if
business
he's what
tactics.
Kanye's talking about, all right, fine, I get it. No, I know that's fucked up. That's really fucked up. But at any rate, this guy, when I went to do this record, they gave me an advance. I think it was like $250,000, which is a very fair price for me, considering my price tag was $80 per song. I ended up doing 7 songs on the album, and I think 2 interludes as well. The record went crazy. It was her biggest album. Most of the ones, or half of the songs I did became hit singles. Any rate, now it's like, I was living in LA at that time. Now I'm living in Florida. So they called to do the next album. And I was like, you know what? In the spirit of good business, I don't want any increase. Just give me the same thing. My manager calls me at the time, Derek Jackson, and says, Scott, this guy said you were lucky to work with her and be involved in such a big album. Not that I helped make the big album and shape its sound, and like I'm like the core and the nucleus of what it was. But he said, he's not giving you any advance. You just come to work, and you're lucky you have the opportunity. I said, whoa, I don't believe this. I was like, you call him and talk about this stuff. I want to be listening in. So I'm listening in, and he's like going on and on, like, yeah, Scott's lucky to be involved with singer like Christina and this and that, and like, fuck Scott, and you know, he's just trying to like play tough guy with me. I'm over what? Like peanuts, like 250. What the fuck is that? You're gonna blow. You just sold 19 million copies of this shit, and like whatever. I get my royalties. That's one, but the actual recoupable producer advance. He was trying to like, be a goalie with it, and I was like, okay. So I'm listening. And then at one point he's like, fuck Scott, and this and that. So I was like, yo, motherfucker, I'm on the phone, by the way. And he's like, I was like, here's the deal. I need $2 million to do the album now, or I'm not doing it. And you need to send fucking NetJet with a fucking, I think it was at the time, a G4. And like, I need the Clive Davis bungalow at the Beverly Hills Hotel. And I need a per diem every day of $1,000 for food on top of all this. And I was just like, fuck you. Okay? Me and Christina were really close. Clive. I have Clive stories too. This is like the fucking. You ever see this show? What is it? The Blacklist, with like about the what was that guy? But anyway, he's just like and like every episode is like he's going after somebody else. At any rate, this is like the Blacklist today. At any rate, so Christina found out about this and that, and she was just like, "Fuck Scott, this and that." I'm gonna make the album without him. You know what I mean? She and I were like on the bordering of the romantic side of things, and it was like, and it just was just like a lot of like crazy shit. And this guy got between our relationship creatively and friendship-wise and turned us against each other, basically. And he's a real fucking shitbag.
What's he doing now? Is he still...
I don't know. He's not in Live Nation anymore. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. But I remember his daughter was like the assistant on the album. She was cool, Allison. But
so that was the end of it with you and Christina.
So then the album comes out, and it didn't go platinum. It went wood. That shit was like a disaster. She went from like 18 million copies to like 2 or
Without
something
you.
crazy. Yeah, man. It was like,
And then she fell off the map.
Yeah, but there was included in that a song called "Fuck You, Scott Storch."
What's the lyrics? Can you go to it? I want to know what she says in that.
I mean,
What is she saying?
She basically
you know who you
lists all of the songs in a lyric that we
I thought
did.
I knew who you were. I see how you learned. There's a bridge. Now I was the first to believe I made you part of Music Dream, and your thanks to me came without an apology. We wrote Lovin' For Me, Don't Walk Away, Can't Hold Us Down. Now, this sounds like you guys have an intimate relationship here.
Yeah,
Sounds like a scorned lover.
We used to lay down together at night. It wasn't really that physical or anything, but like we became like those friends that are like teetering on
Like dry hump.
making
type
out
of
and
stuff.
shit. Yeah, I don't know, whatever the fuck it was. But I don't know, she was into
Pants
some weird
on
shit.
and-
Like
yeah.
when we met and we're making this album, a lot of this music was inspired by, she was with this guy named, I think his name was George. He was like one of the dancers and he was gay and she wanted him to be straight. And it was just like a fucking weird.
It's hard to turn that thing around.
Yeah, like I think she was like one of those people that like try to turn gay people. Yeah,
Dated her
She
back
wanted
up.
that. Like she wanted a challenge.
That's tough. Scott, this brings up a very good question. You know, Pat always talks about if you're building a championship team, right? Who's the most important piece? Is it the GM? Is it the coach? Is it the star players? The front office, right? If you're making a hit record, you have the producer, you have the artist, right? The singer, the rapper, what have you. You have the record label.
Here's why
You
there's a
have the
gray
marketing
area.
team.
There's a gray area.
What's the
I know what
best?
you're saying.
Yeah.
The role of the producer, who really is the guy that puts the shit together, has changed. That the definition of that word has changed. Now the producer is some guy who makes a fucking beat and sends it on a CD. Back in the day, the producer, like me, is the guy that sees the whole thing through and makes sure that you have the right writer, you have the right conviction and emotion coming out of the vocals. You have the guy who's finishing it, the guy, and he's just a real producer. Like back in the day, George Martin was the producer of the Beatles, but he wasn't really making the music. He was just guiding them and like putting that special sauce on it of these songs that they did. So it's like, it's a different thing, but ultimately, the most vital piece of an artist, or like, you know, what's behind the artist, A, is the artist themselves, the manager, I think the producer for sure, because he's like creating this, you know, setting the tone. And then the guys at the label that know how to like sell it. You know what I mean?
That know how to sell it.
Yeah, they know how to put it in the right
Makes
places.
sense. Scott, Diddy parties, all the stuff that Diddy's going through. Did you have a close relationship? You were in the Palm, so you're in Miami. He's down here. What was your relationship with Diddy?
He was on Star, I was on Palm, and we were cool. Like, you know, we were like comrades, so to speak, like real, you know, cool. I was invited to all the parties and this and that, but I wasn't staying late at those parties because I would leave to my parties, which were, you know, potent as well. But I wasn't like, there was no like swinger shit or fucking
You didn't
other
have swinger stuff.
No, I don't. I'm the only dick in the room. I don't like. I'm not into that weird shit. Like, I don't want to like have no part of that. But there was some bad bitches in my house, and you know, excessive everything. And you know, I remember like, you know, my house was more like the Wolf of Wall Street type of vibes. It wasn't like, I don't know. There was no weird shit going on, but I didn't really see any weird shit at Diddy's because it was just, to me, it seemed like everybody was having a great time, and he was the provider of an amazing event that everybody wanted to get into, and like all the time, and spared no expense with fireworks and all kinds of shit, and all the A-list people. I was one of the few people who was allowed to go in the house, and during one of these parties, most people are just like left outside. Huge people.
Whose house is that, Rob?
That was mine.
Oh, that's your house.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah, I was the first buyer of that. It's called the Villa Ferrari. A bunch of builders like got into a fight, and like there was like I had to finish the house. At any rate, oh yeah.
So at these Diddy parties, you get invited into the house. Not many people get into the house.
Yeah,
You're
but again, I was
saying you didn't
there
see
at
anything.
a time when there was nothing even remotely.
So when you hear these stories,
Like I was
you're
the
like,
weirdest
what?
guy in the party. I felt like I was the biggest fucking like piece of shit in the party because I was in the fucking hiding in the media room doing like coke and stuff. You know what I mean? And I remember Diddy looking at me and he's like, "What does that stuff make you feel like?" And it was me and another famous producer in there, and we were like trying to explain it to him. But I guess over time, like he was probably introduced. I don't know for sure, but or kept things around for people that wanted it.
But at this time, you're saying that Diddy didn't even know what coke was. Like he wasn't doing any
He
drugs.
was joking around with us, but like he was like kind of looking at us like, what does that shit make y'all feel like? And this and that. Like it was just like, he was like this innocent type vibe. But like.
Meaning he didn't do drugs.
I think he was doing like probably ecstasy and Molly. That was more socially acceptable at that time. Yeah. Even though later we learned that leaves like holes on your brain and like robs you of your serotonin and shit like that. But look, here's my take on the Diddy thing. Forget about the parties. Who Diddy is, who they're trying to make him out to be. I said this just recently. I'll say it again. There's no excuse to hit a woman. I've never put my hands on a woman my whole life unless I was smacking her on the ass while I'm fucking her. All right? I've never gotten to that stage where I'll just walk away. Like, I'm not going to get into a fight with you. Like, you're not going to, like, I've had girls that got violent with me. Like, I'm like, no, goodbye. See ya. I'm not part of that. So who knows what the hell was going on during that? So there's no excuse for that. To me, it looks like motherfuckers were up for like 3 days doing some fucked up drug, and it was like not who he is now this like drugged up dopamine version of what Diddy is, and like that shit somehow happened. I don't think he's somebody who just beats women up. He's not like Jake LaMotta or some shit like whatever the case is. That was that. As far as them saying to like that, he's a sex trafficker. To me, sex trafficking is selling pussy, right? I think if anything, he was like buying it and like just having girls on deck and putting them on a fucking Gulfstream and going over state lines. That's not cool. Like to call somebody like a sex trafficker, like whatever the fuck. Nobody was having a problem with eating caviar with him and taking his money. Like, so I don't think that's fair. I think that Rico, you gotta have more than one name there. I just think that if you try and go up against liquor, oil, like all the, firearms, tobacco, all these things, like you're gonna have some fucking problems. That's the real fucking Illuminati. And he went up against Diageo and said, I could do my own Ciroc. And like, they were like, oh yeah? They dropped a bomb on his ass. The crime doesn't fit the punishment with him. I still have my pictures up of Diddy on my Instagram. Now, disappointed, yeah, that he put his hands on a woman. I'll forgive. If I find out that he did something to a little kid or did some like pedophile shit, which I don't think they're gonna find because I don't think that's who he is. I don't get that from him. I don't, whatever picture they're trying to paint from him is this devious guy. I mean, whatever. Like, he's gangsta for sure. Like, he's definitely like, he's from New York. Like, he's not a pussy. Is he a homosexual? Bisexual? Everybody's trying to push that. Is he a cuck? Which is like watching other. I wasn't in the room. I do know I felt like at one point he tried to flirt with me and shit, and I was just like, I'm good on that type of shit. But,
oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But
like, what do you mean he tried to flirt with you?
I'm just gonna leave it simple like that. You know, that's it.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty bold statement, Scott.
Bro, it's just I'm gonna say it like it fucking, it is what it is. He's my homie, man. Like,
gotcha.
But like I just felt.
But there
like
was never any bad beef. There was you never saw anything weird.
Man, nothing but love.
When you hear the stories about like, well, Usher came to his house for Diddy Flavor Camp, and then Justin Bieber showed up. Any rumors in that? Any truth to that?
No, fuck that, man. Like, dude, everybody wanted to be around him. He's the fucking flyest dude. Like, he made the shit look good. He's in Tommy Mottola's house, which is the sickest shit that he bought, like, on Star Island. Like, sick. Like, like, Justin was at fucking Molly Mall's house. You know Molly Mall? The guy, he was like, that was like, because he provided a different kind of thing. Like, he was in Vegas in, I think Neil Sedaka, somebody's old crib, Sedaka. Some weird guy's crib. I don't know who it was. And he was a pimp. You know what I'm saying? And he had all these broads around, and he had a studio, and he had like cool people. He had Pooh Bear around. And that was a fun environment. Like, you know what I'm saying? What can I say? Like, and people wanted to be there too. Bieber wanted to be there. Nobody was taking advantage of Bieber. Bieber knew what the fuck he was doing. He was trying to hang out. That's it. That's all I think.
The Biebs right there. So Diddy,
that picture up there on the left with Paris, me, and Kim and Diddy, they were like, yeah, they're at one of Diddy's white parties. That wasn't even Diddy's white party. We're in San Tropez at the Biblos Hotel, at like in the pool, like or something. That we were just at a white party, and there was mad people there. You know what I mean? We were just hanging out.
everybody dresses like that in San Tropez.
Look to the left a little bit. No, the
Left picture, yeah.
Oh, who's that?
Was that Kanye right there?
That's your best friend right there.
My boy, man.
Gotcha.
To DMX, did you and DMX do anything or no?
Yeah, we did. We shared.
He was one of my favorites. I mean,
He was one of my closest friends. God rest his soul, Earl. I tried to save his life. It was like the blind leading the blind, though. Like he was on crack, I'm on cocaine. Different things. One of them was a faster suicide. But there was a point, I'm going to tell you 2 DMX stories, or 3, actually. DMX, I got him out of having to, like, go to prison, and I told him to go to a rehab center, and, like, it's called Recovery First, right across the street from the Hard Rock. He goes, I get him in, says shit, it was court ordered, and calls me like 3 days later, he's like, hey, yo, Scott, I'm at the Hard Rock. I had to fuck the nurse. I'm like, what the fuck, bro? I was like, they're not gonna take you back. This is not like G&G holistic or some shit. And he's like, oh man, what the fuck? I call the guy, the owner, and I'm like, yo, can you please let him out? Nope. 3 days later, I had him come back to my house. 3 days later, I went to Mondrian. My security calls me and says, X has 50 federal agents surrounding your house right now. They're handcuffing him, and he's smoking crack while they're handcuffing him, like with the handcuffs on, getting his last hit in and shit. Some crazy shit. So before that, I remember him staying at my house. One of the funniest stories is I had this fucking party. Everybody was there, from Snoop, this one, that one. And at like 7:30 in the morning, the party's fizzled out. It's like Mike Epps, me, Snoop, a couple other people were chilling in my house in Palm. I get a knock at the door, and it was Pamela Anderson. Yeah.
Legend.
What year?
And I was
this?
like, wow, this is cool. Like, even though that was actually one of my friend Rick Solomon's wife or whatever, but I never met her. I thought it was like so cool. Like, it was not like 07, 08, whatever. And it was like I think it was like a Super Bowl party I had. Like, it was just like 600 people or something in the party, whatever. And make a long story short, I was so geeked out of my mind. Like, X was upstairs in one of the bedrooms, and I was like, yo, X, you gotta see this. He comes out and he looks over the banister and he says, Baywatch. And he just walked back in.
Said one word,
Baywatch. And just walked away. But the last one is the saddest story I have with X. He and I made some great, we did a video at my Indian Creek, by the way. It's called Give Them What They Want. At my Indian Creek property, we did a video. It was pretty cool. But that is not the story. The story is this. You'll be able to see that he's my brother after I tell you the story and watch that video. But hold up. Steve LaBelle, my manager, one of my most recent managers.
We working.
Yeah. Very cool guy. He and I owned a rehab center together in L.A., Studio City. It's called the Heavenly Center, THC.
Get out of here.
Yeah, and we were like, it was very difficult to be like able to get like insurance companies to cover the shit because of the weed thing and this and that, whatever. So we kind of like dumbed it down. We like, we are weed tolerant. We're not supplying the weed, you know, that type of thing, whatever. California sober, whatever the fuck it is. X is now on his last legs with emphysema. And he's one hit of crack away from dying. So we put up the bread. This guy, Frank Sid, me and Steve, we put him on a private jet to Washington to detox. He goes, we convinced him to do it. He goes through the whole detox program, and he's supposed to get on the runway and go back on that same plane and go inpatient at the Heavenly Center. He never got on that plane. And a few weeks later, he was dead.
Wow.
I really tried to save his life. I really love that guy. I had his whole family staying in my house. It was kind of fucked up though. Like, you know, mind you, I'm a cocaine addict at the time. And like, he was in there like trying to like use my coke to make crack with and shit. It was just fucking nuts. Like, I don't give a fuck. I don't know if I look like a maniac for telling these stories. Like, it's the truth. It was like the blind leading the blind. Can you imagine like, man, you really need to get your shit together. Like, what the fuck?
Man, you got to clean that thing up.
Yeah, man. Like, you know, you got to stop getting rid of that shit.
What was he like off camera? I mean, everyone says that if there's one performer that just has the grit, the grime, the hustle, the flow, like he was that guy.
He was the fucking man. Fucking debuted platinum 10 times in a row.
Yeah,
like,
Rough Riders.
He was shitting on the game. Did you ever see that fucking one? I forget what festival it was. It was like this massive, like, it was like Lollapalooza.
Lollapalooza in Chicago?
Shit. Bro, like, this dude was
Kills
a beast. He was like, he was really everything that those records were exuding was him.
When you hear that dun dun dun,
Yeah, it never gets old. It's one of those. By the way, did you see Will Smith's latest song they called the worst song? Have you heard about it?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Yeah, Will Smith came out with a song. They just went after him talking about Fat Joe had who was the guy that was with Fat Joe back in the days?
Big Pun?
Not Big, it was with Big Pun. You know, he had this song, this one's dedicated to the ones who never made it. I hated the fact you faded away. You were the greatest.
Pun.
Who is that? No, it's not Pun. It's the other guy. It's
Tony Sunshine?
no, keep going. You'll say it. It's
Not your boy Raul.
I say this prayer to never respect you, but to
Part of the Terror Squad?
Oh my God, what is this guy's name? It's such a great.
Not Nori.
I'll figure out who
Tony
it is.
Sunshine,
Someone's
Cuban
gonna watch
Link.
this and they're gonna comment below. We'll find out who it is. Well, did you ever do anything with Fat Joe?
What? I made like some of the biggest records for Fat Joe possible. I did Lean Back.
Yeah.
I did Make It Rain. I did like a lot of
Holy
shit with
shit.
Joe. Yeah, I mean, like Joe changed the face of my career too, because I was not putting a tag on my records. I was not like produced by Scott Storch or
Yeah.
shit like that. But I'm doing every fucking song in the world, and like Lean Back comes and he's like, Scott Storch.
Yeah.
Bro,
Oh,
cheese
within the first
lines
7 seconds.
outside
Yeah, exactly.
my door.
That's what he said in the video.
Cheese lines.
Cheese lines outside a door. Yeah, that's what he said. So you guys were close. You guys, yeah. Where do you put him? Where do you put him on the list?
Yeah, he's dope. I mean, he's dope. It's kind of like unfair that he's not looked at as even bigger than he is. I mean, people respect him, but like being a Latino rapper at some point, like it was like a handicap in itself. Like it didn't matter how fucking dope you were, because motherfuckers were just like there's a lot of fucking like weird things about the music business, you know.
So Fat Joe, I don't know your relationship with him these days, but there's a lot of hip hop beef. You know, obviously it started with Tupac and Biggie and everything, and then Nas, Jay-Z.
Well, he's a big in the as a personality now, and like
Fat
when
Joe.
you have an opinion, sometimes people like.
Well, 50 Cent, I think him. Who does he have beef with? Is 50 Cent?
He
have
used
beef with
to.
him?
All his fires have been put out.
Really?
It was Hove
Yeah.
and 50, and now he's cool with all of them.
What's your take on just hip hop beef in general? I mean, the biggest beef of the last year was Kendrick and Drake. Is this
not
manufactured? Is this real?
This is
What's
the
your take?
fucking WWF? Like, you know what I'm saying? But like, put it this way: there was I forget who it was that was telling me like, "Yo, 50's coming at me on some shit." Like he's like really fucking like tearing me up, this and that. And apparently 50 called to him. He's like, "Oh," because no, he called. He got in touch with me. He's like, "Why are you doing this to me?" He's like, "I'm trying to throw you a bone, bro. I'm trying to get you some shine." Like.
50 saying this to you.
No, to this person.
Oh, gotcha.
That's the story I heard. I don't know for sure,
Yeah.
but like that he was like dissing somebody, and the person that he was dissing called Fifth, like, "Why are you doing this?" He's like, "Bro, I'm trying to help you. Like any publicity is good publicity. Like I'm giving you a shot. Like you know what I'm saying? Like that's what these beefs. A lot of them are out now. There's legitimate beefs, obviously.
What do you think is the most legitimate beef? I think like Lil Wayne and Birdman had some court stuff going on, suing. What's the realest beef?
I
out
mean,
there?
yeah, I mean, like that's a label artist beef. That's not like rapper to rapper beef, even though the label was a rapper.
Birdman.
But there's more, that's family. That's like a father and son. I did a song for these two, for Wayne and Birdman, called You Ain't Know. I'm actually in the video playing piano. It was like we were dressed up like gangsters and shit.
Cuban Link is who I was talking about. Do you remember Cuban Link?
Oh, yeah, Cuban Link.
Yeah, Cuban Link. That's
Oh, yeah,
the
they
song.
had beef. That didn't end right. That was not,
It wasn't?
No, that was some problems there. But somebody else recently just tried to like fuck with Joe and take advantage of him. Somebody that was like a hype man for him claimed to be like the writer on songs and shit and trying to sue Joe.
You said Tommy Mottola earlier. Did you have a relationship with Tommy?
Yeah, it's funny. That house that Diddy like lives in, like I was there to visit Tommy at one point.
I mean, he's a legend.
The first time I met Tommy, Sony Music Studios in New York, I was like a little kid in the Roots and like didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I walked into the wrong lounge, and it was him talking to some like Asian guy that probably owned Sony or whatever. And he gave me the dirtiest look, like he was about to fucking bite my ear off. I was like, oh shit. But then later down the road, he invited me to come to that house when he had first bought it, and he was with Talia. This was right after.
She's great. She's great.
And the same party place at the edge of that property on Star Island, that's like a temple, kind of gazebo kind of thing, whatever. It wasn't like that. It was an office outside. And it looked like something that Sosa from fucking Scarface would have. And he's at this sick-ass, probably $300,000 table with a home phone, and like it's like outside. This whole office is set up outside, and he's like doing his thing out there with a cigar, showing me his cars and shit. But hey, whatever. Tommy Mottola.
Legend.
He made a lot of money.
For a lot of people.
Yeah, and for himself.
Yeah, for sure.
At the hands of Sony. Like there was like, a lot of people like made like, I mean, if I'm really gonna talk, like motherfuckers like they were found a way to take budgets down. These guys. Like I'm just being real, like everybody knows this shit. He had a partner, Corey Rooney, that was producing. And there's a crazy story. I'm glad I mentioned that. Okay, I have to go there. If we're on the fucking blacklist today.
Go for it.
All right. So, but yeah, like these guys, they would get all the shit. Like they would eat up all the budgets of like the quarterly like budget that they would get, Sony, Columbia, this, that, the other. One day, I had a house on Pine Tree Drive that I made into a studio. I had
Miami Beach.
Yeah, 63rd and Pine Tree. I had 2 studios in there. I had the board from Saturday Night Live, the SSL, or the Neve, whatever it was. And I get a call from this guy, Kenny Commissar, who's big record executive. And he's like, J-Lo wants to come over. I'm like, amazing. I want to work with her. Like, cool, amazing. This is dope. So J-Lo comes over, but now it's like damn near a hurricane going on. Power goes out. So I'm like, oh yeah, I got this new car. It was like the first one in America. I had the Phantom. And like, I was like, let's listen to music in my Phantom. Pouring rain. She's loving every fucking thing I'm playing, or she's like, that's the shit. Da, da, da. I remember her hand on my leg and like, I was like, oh fuck, this J-Lo is sitting in my passenger seat loving my fucking music. I'm a little fucking like Jewish white boy from fucking Sunrise and shit. Like, what the fuck? Nob Hill and shit. At any rate, I could hear a knock on my window. I'm like, what the fuck? Kenny's like, Jennifer, we gotta go. I'm like, what do you mean we gotta go? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You brought her here. He's like, no, we gotta go right now. 15 minutes later, I got a call from him like, my bro, I'm so sorry. They told me I was fired if I didn't get her out of there. Wanna know why? Because there's only so many songs and the budget on these albums, and I was taking away real estate in that little game that these guys had going on that took Sony out for 200 and change million. I'm laying some secrets out for y'all today, bro. This is all real talk. But yeah, I was like, man, that's fucked up, bro. I was like so hurt by that shit. That shit was supposed to go to Tommy and Corey. And I was not getting it. Not, fuck that. Scott's not getting in her ear. Real talk. That was one of my fucking like realizations that there's so much bullshit in fucking every industry. There's a hustle to every facet. I mean, this cup right here probably has 10 hustles to the business behind it. Business.
Busta Rhymes.
One of the only people to check on me. And like everybody's like pointing the finger, oh, Scott's fucked up now, this and that, da, 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 da. He was like only person who called me and be like,
Wow.
I made money for all these people and they just walked away and said, Scott's a piece of shit. He's like, yo, bro, are you all right? I wasn't. I was like, yeah, I'll be all right. You know what I mean? Addiction's a motherfucker. Nobody cared, bro. I bought like all my homies Bentleys out of love, like because I wanted them to be like me. And they all disappeared when the party was over. It was like, but that's a gift too, because you get to see who your real friends are. And those 2, 3 people that were left standing there making sure I was cool. Busta was one of them people that, I mean, we weren't that close, but he's also my first client when I left the Roots that believed in me. He was my very first client that hired me. I remember we were like going up and down like fucking all the labels in New York. Took this trip from Philly to New York and trying to play music for A&Rs. The first one to bite was Busta. But yeah, he's the only person that really fucking called and was like, bro, you all right, man? Nobody gave a shit.
Out of everybody in the industry, when you were going through your worst of your worst and you were dealing with the recovery, the only person that reached out was Busta? There was nobody else?
Joe, somewhat. You know.
Fat Joe?
Yeah, he never like, I mean, I didn't get the call, but I mean, I knew he cared.
Do you think that's because of you and your reputation, or is that just the business? It's all fake. It's all a facade. You ain't really friends.
If you ain't hot, you ain't hot. Even, I remember Diddy telling me, like when we were talking about like, what's your secret? And he would like, cause you know, you have all the success. And he said, I run to the light. And what he meant by that is like, whoever's hot, he's going up near that shit. Like, whoever's fucking blowing up at the time, you're gonna see that motherfucker near. He's like, I run to the light.
What a thing to say, run to the light. Is that right after he flirted with you? Or that's a different situation? It's like, I run to the light.
Interesting.
Trying to see what he's talking about.
So it just means...
However,
light skin? Like
you know
light.
what's crazy? That dude's ears are golden. He's got golden ears, man. I know people like would use his ears and to see if some shit was legit or see if that was the single to help pick the one out of the bunch that's the one. They would use Diddy for that shit. Jimmy Iovine, all the biggest. They'd be like, yo, what do you think of this? And
he knew.
he knew.
It wasn't accidental that he rose to the top.
No.
He had an ear for it.
Yeah.
Who
Was
else?
he hands-on as a producer?
No, that wasn't his thing.
Yeah.
You ever seen
More
the
cowbell.
video? You ever seen the video when he's on a call and he gets what he wants and he says, "I get everything."
Yeah,
You ever seen that video?
Yeah, of course.
Is that pretty much him?
I'm a
Does
savage.
that describe him?
I don't know. It's looked like too much coffee.
This one right here.
You know what it reminds me of?
Pause it.
What was the
Yeah. What's this
at the
movie?
end of
Yeah, I know what you're
Tropic
talking-
Thunder? What?
Tropic Thunder is what I'm thinking.
no at
We
the
don't
end of
negotiate
Vacation, the movie like that Sid Caesar and he won the fucking I win. I'm gonna win the money. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
With Chevy
Yeah.
Chase? What was it?
Go ahead, Rob.
Book that for like the weekend of the 14th when the soundtrack comes out? If so, bump somebody. All right, thanks. All right, love you, man. Bye. I got my MTV out. Savage! I'm a savage! Oh! I'm a savage! Whatever I want, I'm going to get! Whatever I want, I have to get!
It's like steroids.
What's next? What's next? Watch this.
Yes! What's next? What's next? I gotta get it. I'm not gonna stay fucking down. I'm not gonna stay fucking lying down. I'm not. I can't do it, man. I can't do that. What's next? Give me something else. What can't you do? I can do it. I can do anything.
Wow. Can't stop, won't stop.
The power of suggestion.
So he
That's what I
ran
see.
to the light.
Good
Yeah,
for
and
you.
like,
The
you
power
know,
of
fucking-
auto suggestion.
Dude, there's dudes that like, I'm not saying any names, that just are able to capture your attention by screaming and like really not being part of the creative process of the music and just like selling you on that shit. Like,
Did you ever do anything with what is that one guy's name who Kanye had issues with, and he ended up, I think he's the head of YouTube right now. What is the guy's name?
Is it Rick Rubin?
Not Rick Rubin. No.
Leor Cohen?
Yeah, Leor Cohen.
Leor's the man. Shit. Leor started like, he was one of the founders of Def Jam.
Yeah.
Him and Russell Simmons.
What made him special? Was he a boss? Was he a numbers guy? Was he a negotiation guy? Was he a
was
tough
smart
guy?
in business. He was a tough guy, but like, he would think outside the box, and they figured out a formula of how to sell records.
Did you spend some time with him?
He used to borrow my boat. He used to come over and bring me Joe's Stone Crab to Indian Creek Island.
That's good
and
stuff.
Scotty, let me borrow your boat. No problem. Anytime. Captain's there. He was a cool guy.
Good
man.
dude.
Yeah. Leor's beast.
He's got some interesting nicknames. The other guy had nicknames. This guy's got it as well. Culture Vulture, I don't know what they call him.
It was a weird lawsuit. I'm trying to remember who was suing who.
Yeah.
TVT with Steve Gottlieb. And it was like a big lawsuit.
Yeah, it was. Try to handle the protection.
130 million.
Rule. Cash Money Click initial defendant was ordered to pay $132 million in compensatory punitive damages, with $56 million due personally from Cohen. Unappealed, that figure was substantially reduced.
Yeah. I heard some story about him dancing on his desk after like something with that lawsuit, like winning or something.
Okay, so he's got a little bit of Diddy in him. Is that what it is?
Okay.
See if he dances.
You want to think about what that guy is? It's like the Beastie Boys, shit like that. Early fucking like cutting edge people. Like
Was that Tribe Called Quest? Was
these are
that De
people.
La
There was
Soul?
no
Was
like
that-
hip hop like mainstream shit before these kind of guys. There was also Joe and Phil Niccolo, Rough House Records. They had Cypress Hill, Chris Cross.
Oh, wow.
Bunch of people.
Make it jump. So Scott, these days, I mean, you said famously that the coach lasts longer than the players.
That's
So-
actually a Steve LaBelle We Working original, but I've adapted it. I've adopted it.
There's Snoop's still relevant, right? Jay-Z's still relevant.
Snoop.
Who, there's hot guys these days. Obviously Drake's doing his
Relevant
thing.
with what though? Snoop is famous. Relevant as active? I don't know if I
but
would.
meaning he's still around.
Listen, these people have made such an amazing amount of music of such high quality, and like some of the beats, like you'll notice, like Snoop picks the greatest fucking beats, man.
Yeah.
He's like, but like he don't have to do jack shit.
There's a lot of
Like
fly.
me personally, like if anybody, he's watching some shit, I don't have to do another beat for the rest of my life. I've still done more than everybody else. They'll never catch up. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't matter. And my like name and my legacy is like, even though I don't like to rest on my laurels and I'm still making shit because the passion is still there. I lost it for a while. It was back. And my son doing music, like, yeah, I'll still do it. But quietly, I'm making some fucking fire shit.
What do you think about music these days? Like, who do you think is going to last a test of time? So, is it Migos? Is it Travis Scott? Is it
This is like,
who do you actually
there's people
respect
that
that's
are
new
more
these days?
artistic than others.
Baby, Lil Baby. Who do you got out there?
One of my favorite people is this guy named Russ.
Oh, he's
Russ,
a stud.
yeah.
I made a lot of songs.
He's a
with him. I did Wipe
stud,
You Up
yeah.
with him. He doesn't depend on the radio. He doesn't
Yeah.
care what anybody thinks about him. He fills arenas all day long.
What's special about him?
He believes in what he's saying, and he like, I can tell you something like it's just so organic. I remember having a conversation with him
The best on
about
earth.
going on the road and some of these amazing places that he would get to travel to, like in Europe, like fucking amazing places. And he's like, I'm not gonna bring some like broad with me. I'm gonna bring my mom. And he would bring his mom like to these great places, and he was so like excited to like give back to her.
Good for him. Good for him.
He's as real as he gets, man.
He must have had a great mom.
They hate him. Like so many people like in like, these like whatever, like they're just there's a lot of people. He gets haters. It's jealousy and hate, but
What do they hate him for?
I don't know, having an opinion that actually he stands behind. One that makes sense. I don't know.
Who else would you put in that category these days?
I don't know. There's some good artists. Very few.
Very few.
Very few.
You don't seem too thrilled with the current state of hip hop. Is that
All right,
fair?
I'm gonna take it a step further.
Okay, go.
We got with now. We have when I was, and then before me, and I listened to some of the shit before me. Like that was like, you know, Earth, Wind and Fire, Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, Al Green, you know, Led
Hall &
Zeppelin, Hall & Oates. Just some of these amazing. Man, I didn't do nothing good. Like my shit is all right. Like this shit is whacked. Shit is horrible right now. Honestly, it's horrible. It's trash. I still feel like I didn't do, like I made some pretty impressive shit, I think, but it still is nothing compared to the amount of integrity that went into like some of the shit before me.
Now, there's every generation
Luther
says that the
Vandross.
generation before that, you know, they don't get it. They don't give it the times. Is it a generation thing, or is it just straight up? Listen to my ears. It ain't. It ain't.
You ever
hot.
see the movie Idiocracy? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's it. People are dumb. they have gotten so because it's so easy to become a music producer. Anybody can go to Guitar Center now, and it's so cheap. Before we had to have reel-to-reel tape recorders that were like $200 a tape to store 2 songs on. Now you can store 1,000 songs on a little disc that costs you $40. You know what I mean? Like, so anybody can do it. Everybody has a voice. Anybody can be seen. So the quality just got lower and lower, and the bar was set lower and lower and lower and lower. You'll find some guys that are like sort of good, like some, you know, the artists, the better ones, like, you know, the Travis Scotts, the Trippie Reds, the, you know, this and that. But
Scott, you ever met Trump?
I did. I just had lunch with him.
How was that?
He's awesome. He's awesome. Yeah, Trump's a cool guy. I think very misunderstood guy. I mean, everybody's like, nobody's perfect, you know. Pick your poison. But I think he definitely has a plan. And like, even though it looks like he's doing, like causing riots and shit like that, there is like the better good of our country. You know what I mean? Like, nobody think it's bittersweet, you know what I mean? Ultimately, he's protecting us, but it's like, you think about, you know, poor families that people are getting like deported and shit like that. That's the fucked up part. But sometimes in order to do something, there's sacrifices that have to take place in order to the overall goal, which is to protect us. And, you know, I mean, in politics, that's not my forte, so I can't really like articulate as much. But I just am saying, based on what I see, I think he's actually driven to protect our country.
Do you think? Sorry. Do you think behind the scenes, other musicians? You've been in a room with all these guys. If you did a poll of 100 of the guys you worked with, do you think they're pro-Trump? Do you think they're still Democrat Party? Where would you think all the musicians? Obviously, we know Beyonce and Jay-Z stand.
I saw this guy on Instagram, this guy Patrick Bet-David, and he was at Mar-a-Lago, and he was like, yo, all these naysayers and fucking people that just were shitting on Trump, they're sucking his dick right now because he's the president again. Basically is what you were saying.
In other words, yeah, it's very similar.
I don't think people would use those
paraphrases
words,
what
but
you're
yeah.
doing.
Run to the light.
Run to the light.
So that's
Oh
what
my
everybody's
God.
doing, running to the light of Trump.
I guess, I don't know, man. All I know is he's doing a fucking better job than fucking Sleepy Joe. That guy, like, I feel like all this fucked up shit happened. And the first time Trump got in office, like, here's some coronavirus, deal with that shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not, he weathered the storm, he went through that shit, but like,
Yeah.
that wasn't easy for somebody.
Did you ever meet Bill Clinton?
No.
Never met Bill. Obama?
It's so weird, like, I didn't meet Obama, but I was called when he was running for office to, like, you know, they were looking for cool people to, like, be part of his campaign, and, like, they wanted to pick me up and go in a limo with him to some club or something, and I said, nah, I don't know. Nobody knew who he was. I didn't even know if he was white, black, or anything. I didn't know. They just said, Obama wants you. I'm like, nah, I'm fucked up. I'm doing an 8-ball instead. Like, But I don't know if he did that much as a president. Here, like I don't really
If
know.
he did that
politics.
much cocaine as a president?
No, I don't think
I
he
thought
did
no.
that much
I
as a
thought, Scott,
president.
you were saying because
In
you
name
gave
only.
like you
In
gave him
name
an 8 ball
only.
or something like that.
But
Yeah.
who knows?
TBA.
No, I don't want to start any rumors. Scott is not saying anything about the 8 ball with the president.
No,
That's two separate
no,
stories.
no.
Don't
I
get
was
it
saying
twisted.
I don't know how much he did as a president, but like I do know that I guess like I just feel like Trump is our saving grace right now, and I don't think that like a lot of these things would have happened. Like a lot of problems would have happened if he was in office last.
He would be one hell of a rapper if you think about it. The amount of shit talking he can do and how quick. I can imagine if somebody just pulled up to Trump, and let's just say he goes on a podcast that's all about hip hop, and they say, "Could you freestyle?" I can only imagine if all of a sudden he drops.
He drops some shit.
It's called the weave. I
And you're in
started
the
here.
back, thing, and then he's like, "Yeah, you know." Then,
Well, there's one thing for sure. He's been mentioned in more rap songs than any president, maybe any celebrity of all time.
For any president? Yeah, probably. No, probably. Scott, just out of curiosity, I mean, where you're at, what do you have if you have to choose between Biggie and Tupac? What's your opinion on that? Are you more
Two different
team
things.
Tupac or
Two
Biggie?
different things, both amazing.
Oh my God!
This sounds like now I feel like I'm on Drink Champs because that's what they do. Like it's like if you have to pick one, and if you can't, you have to
gotta
take
take
a
a shot.
shot. Well, one's
Okay.
a poet, one's a storyteller.
Here's a better question to ask: which one have you played or listened to the most? Biggie's music or more Tupac? Which have you listened to the
Both
most?
equally.
No, you can't say that.
I
You know
have,
that's
though.
not true though.
I made a record for Tupac though. I did remix
Did
one
you
of the
really?
songs. Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the
Well, I just sling crack because I had to. Look, Tupac got better and better as time went on. Like Biggie's career was so short. It's hard to like.
yeah.
I dated Little Kim too, so I guess me and him were like Eskimo brothers. Or whatever.
You dated Lil' Kim?
Lil' Kim?
No,
You did or you didn't date
I
her?
did. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what era?
She's an awesome person.
She
I
doesn't
forget what
look
year
the
it was.
same though. Little Kim to me used to be.
Did a little too much surgery.
Yeah.
Yeah. All women get carried away with that shit like later in life. But
But Little Kim at one point was
bad.
yeah.
So you had Big Kim, Kim Kardashian. You had Lil Kim. You had Paris.
Bro, pardon my language, but I fucked everybody. Literally, I didn't leave nothing.
Nothing to chance. Out of all the girls you've been with, if you could have put a ring on one of them, who did you actually love?
What a question. Adam's in a very loving
man,
space. So
interesting.
just like
Scott knows.
I'm gonna tell you this. I was married one time for one day in Vegas because I was fucked up and like I don't think I ever
You
wanna
pulled the
be
Britney
married.
Spears, is that what you're saying?
For some reason, to me, I've had relationships, wrong relationships.
But who was the one that got away? Who did you actually love? Who would you actually like? Someone that we would know. You're like, I'll tell you what, so and so and so. If I coulda, woulda, shoulda. Who would have been, Scott? Walk us down memory lane. You've been with them all. Come on.
I don't know, like
Get in your feelings right now. Maybe we'll play a little Mario. You should let me love you. Who is it?
I always was going out with people for the wrong reason. Like for me, it was like I would get involved with a girl because she had a great ass, and that's not deep enough to fucking have like the intimacy and the love that's gonna stand the test of time.
for some people that's spiritual. That's it's a
Look, I'm not the fucking. I can't say I made all the right decisions in my life. I know how to make music. I can't tie my shoelaces. You know what I'm saying? Like at a certain age in like my prime, like I decided I like to this thing called drug sex. Like when you're doing fucking drugs, you're getting fucked up and you're fucking and like that's not what love is. You know what I mean? But like you get caught in your ways. What's the old expression? Like you can't teach an old trick new dogs.
So, but that you can make beautiful music, but you can't tie your shoelaces. Like the other night we had dinner. This guy,
I know people that are so smart but have no common
this
sense.
guy, let me tell you, PPD, he has a napkin right here, napkin at dinner at What do we have at Moderano's? This guy, I looked at him. He went like this. I'm like, Scott, use your napkin. But is it something about the way you're wired? Just like, I don't give a fuck.
What did you have at Martorano? Did you have the Philly cheesesteak?
We ordered it. Yeah, the Philly cheesesteaks,
Oh
everything.
my
Incredible.
See, the challenge with Martorano is when they turn on the music, I can't talk to you.
You got to go early.
You got to go early.
We went early that one night.
You got to go early.
If you're in the mood for that, like a lot of people, like they're not going to that club. So they want to get that club feel.
I go to restaurants
It's
for
like
3
Poppy steak.
reasons.
Yeah.
I go for 3 reasons. I go for company, I go for service, I go for great food. I'm not going for music.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the 3 reasons. If I want to listen to music, I'm going to a different place.
But it's a party. Like,
it
look,
is
you
a
just got to be ready for that.
freaking happening spot. If you have, folks, if you're listening to this, everybody knows I'm Team Casa D'Angelo. It's very simple. That's where I go. In the last 7 days, I was there 5 times in the last 7 days.
Can I tell you something else?
Yeah.
There's another one, another sleeping giant.
Is that the 9-5, the one, the number place that everybody
Trattoria Romana. In Boca.
Yeah, of course, in Boca. I ate that recently.
Oh, yeah. Right off of
People
Palmetto.
eat there.
Yeah, we've been there.
Yeah,
I used to go there all the time.
You got that?
Palmetto,
I think,
right across
in
the
terms of
street from
Italian, Runway
Love's.
84.
Not the place you would go to lunch every day.
I used to go there a lot. Yeah.
Prime Italian's not a fucking bad.
Yeah.
They got the
Scott's eating
cheesesteak too.
Well, okay, so last thing before we wrap up, what's next for you? What's next for you?
Well, let me see. I'm thinking about this. Make sure I say the right things because I get caught up.
You gonna announce like you and Kim are back together? Like,
Which one?
yeah, I'm just saying Kim K because he seemed pretty sentimental about that one.
No, not like that. Let me see something. All right. So, like, I've done so much music making in my life that, sometimes I want to continue that, but I want to do something different. I want to, try something new. Like, I feel like even like when I was making music, I would try different kinds of music because when you're not so formulaic in your delivery, because you've done it so many times, you're learning along the way, and that's where some of the most accidental genius things that you make happen that are hybrids of other things. But now, I think I have a lot to say, and I have the ability to captivate people. So, like, I want to, do, like, a television show, like a variety show with a podcast, with, like, that whole kind of thing. Like, I want to do something that's different, live entertainment, comedians, this, that, even a little sketch comedy involved, like, something really dope. Something different.
Where do you live?
That people wouldn't expect from me.
You're still in Miami?
Yeah.
All right. That's cool.
Something amazing. Like, I have a pretty big reach, and, like, I think I can bring the right people in and, like, I don't know, like, have fun moments that are very spontaneous and very, like, just, like, unexpected from me. And a lot of people don't know who I am. They don't know there's a humorous, funny, humble guy that's just done a lot of shit, fucked everybody, had everything, and lost it and not embarrassed to it. No, I'm very, like, I don't really care. If you can't take a fuck, joke him. If you can't take a joke, fuck him. It is what it is.
I almost feel like this was a blast of a podcast. We talked about a lot of different things. I learned your favorite person in the world today is Kanye. I learned you miss Kim. I learned you did business with a lot of different people. But if there's one thing I can tell you, I have a feeling, I'm curious what dinner's going to be like with cameras off and no mic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that makes sense or not.
By the way, I have, not to cut you off, I have a song that I did like 3 years ago with my boy Ryan, who's such a cool guy. He's an inventor. He's a lab guy. He's like, doing some incredible stuff. And his Theranos, his company, and we made a song. He made a movie about like blood testing and things and like corruption in that world and like all kinds of shit. But like I did the theme song for the thing. It's pretty mean, where I kind of like interpolated the Karate Kid. You know the best that type of shit. Like,
Nothing's in heaven. What a song. Are you kidding me?
But we switched. The song has evolved into
By the way,
things.
before we wrap up, what are you doing with Grand Theft Auto right now? Aren't you in the
I'm
game?
not allowed to talk to NDA.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right. But something's
I
coming.
was already there. I was already in it. They put me, Dre, and Jimmy in a online version of it. But
Okay.
Yeah, he
Who
is.
knows?
That's right. I've seen it. Yeah. Okay, so maybe there's something
it's
else
gonna
that's
be.
going on.
Maybe not.
It's going to be massive.
all right.
Anyways.
All I know is that game is going to be the shit. That's the biggest fucking video game.
They've been delaying it, and people are pissed, and they're creating anticipation, but they're looking forward to it. My man, this was a blast.
Love.
Great having you,
Storch
brother.
in the
Much
house.
love. Take care, everybody. God bless. Bye-bye.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Scott Storch, and you might have seen me on the PBD podcast, and you might have some questions you want to ask me. I'm available on the Minette app, and you can ask me about pretty much anything, music, industry stuff, my life and my history, or, anything, technical questions with music, equipment, whatever, production techniques. Check it out, Minette.